This presentation aims to provide a brief summary of the development and findings of the scoping study for the Hawkesbury-Nepean River System Coastal Management Program, or CMP. The presentation will outline a brief background of the collaborative approach being undertaken to better manage catchment and estuary health, including the steps required in developing a CMP. We'll then focus on the findings of the Hawkesbury-Nepean River System CMP Stage 1 scoping study, which includes the initial consultation undertaken to engage public authorities, government agencies, and councils, an overview of the key stressors or pressures on the Hawkesbury-Nepean River System, the identify knowledge gaps and work required to ensure a CMP is well informed, and a suggested governance structure through the CMP. The presentation will touch on the benefits in developing a whole-of-system CMP, and it will outline the next steps in the development of the CMP. A great deal of planning and research has been undertaken in the Hawkesbury River system through the years. Up to now, the river has often been managed in a segmented approach to address locally specific issues, or through estuary management and other plans across smaller sections of river that align with local council areas. The first plans were developed in the mid-1990s for the Borough and Brisbane water catchments. Other plans follow for Pittwater and Brooklyn area. In 2006, the Lower Hawkesbury Estuary Management Plan started its development through the partnership of the two councils that manage this area, Hornsby Shire Council and Central Coast Council, formerly named Gosford City Council. This partnership and the combined plan led to the coordinated management of a section of the Lower Hawkesbury. The efficiencies achieved, learnings from this approach, and the appreciation that issues needed to be managed on a larger scale have led to the establishment of a 6-council partnership across the tidal area of the Hawkesbury-Nepean River System. These councils are Central Coast Council, Hornsby Shire Council, Northern Beaches Council, Ku-ring-gai Council, the Hills Shire Council, and Hawkesbury City Council. The partner councils then applied and were successful in gaining funding under the New South Wales Government Coast and Estuary Programme. That grant has enabled councils to develop a scoping study for the Hawkesbury-Nepean River System that fulfills Stage 1 in developing a coastal management program. In accordance with the New South Wales Coastal Management Framework, management of the estuary system and its tributaries will be guided by a Coastal Management Program, or CMP. The CMP seeks to achieve the objective of the Coastal Management Act through a program that will identify management issues, pressures, and risks, and the actions required to address these issues in a strategic and integrated way. The purpose of the CMP is to set the long-term strategy for the coordinated management of the system and its catchment. The CMP framework offers an opportunity for councils, public authorities, and local communities to identify and balance competing interests, issues, risks, and priorities in the coastal zone. The scoping study represents the first stage in the CMP process and has been completed as per requirements of the New South Wales Coastal Management Manual. Stage 1 has reviewed past management of the river system, developed a shared understanding of the current situation, and has identified the strategic path of the remaining CMP stages. Stage 2 focuses on a detailed assessment of risk, vulnerability, and opportunities. Stage 3 identifies and evaluates management actions that will be part of the CMP. Stage 4 will be the preparation, exhibition, and adoption of the CMP. And Stage 5 relates to the implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. The Hawkesbury-Nepean River CMP will encompass the Hawkesbury-Nepean River, Pittwater, Brisbane Water, and Broken Bay, and will span the Greater Sydney and Hunter Central Coast regions. The project will consider key catchment processes within the wider drainage catchment and will involve collaboration between all councils and other public authorities that have management responsibilities across the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system. It will also seek to enable meaningful input from community. The vision of the CMP is to preserve and enhance the environmental, social, and economic values of the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system and its catchment for future generations, and ensure its status as one of Australia's premium river systems. This vision statement has been developed to help stakeholders identify themselves with the future of the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system, encourage a sense of community ownership of the actions in the CMP, and foster commitment to its preparation and implementation. The vision was developed by the 6 partner councils in discussions with New South Wales government agencies and wider catchment councils. The Hawkesbury-Nepean River system exhibits significant environmental value and is a major contribution to the social and cultural well-being of the community for the Greater Sydney and the Central Coast regions. These values underpin significant economic activity and contribute to the economy in many important ways. A few statistics of interest. The economic contribution of ecosystem services within the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system alone are estimated at approximately $1 billion per annum. This estimate is based on services of mangroves, salt marsh, and seagrasses, known as blue carbon aquatic ecosystems, and the estuary productivity itself. In addition, the river system supports a significant number of endangered ecological communities and more than 130 vulnerable and threatened species. The direct economic value of commercial fishing and aquaculture, in particular oyster farming, is estimated at $5 million per annum, and the value of industries that rely on the catchment, such as agriculture, is around $500 million per annum across just the partner council areas. The economic value of tourism and domestic day trips across the estuary is estimated at $45 million per annum, with a large proportion of these related to recreational boating activities. The estimated replacement value of fixed foreshore assets in the estuary is around $270 million. This slide shows the steps involved in developing the scoping study, which included 3 stakeholder engagement workshops with key government agencies, and input from the communication and engagement teams of each partner council. Workshops were facilitated by the consultants engaged to progress Stage 1, Water Technology and Molino Stewart. It is worth acknowledging the contributions by all partner councils and consultants in ensuring the project was kept on time and budget. It has been a solid 8 months of work, and the partner councils and New South Wales government agency representatives are extremely satisfied with the final report. So what is included in the Stage 1, the scoping study? Firstly, we documented environmental, social, economic, planning, and governance context and agreed on the spatial extent of the study area. The project then reviewed past approaches to management of the river and its catchments, develop a shared understanding of current challenges and opportunities, and assessed information gaps to be filled to support sound decision making. The scoping study then outlined an agreed strategic path, proposed a governance structure, and documented approaches to engagement and resourcing required over the remaining CMP stages. In progressing the scoping study, the 6 partner councils have worked closely with more than 20 different state government departments, as identified in this diagram. The 18 wider catchment councils across the Hawkesbury-Nepean drainage area were also encouraged to participate, with significant involvement and contribution received by Blacktown, Campbelltown, Penrith, and Wollondilly councils. It is worth acknowledging that governance across the estuary is complex, with multi-layer management of catchment, foreshores, and waterways across multiple tiers of government. The collaborative approach during this process has created improved partnerships and engagement across governments. We also acknowledge their time and valuable contribution to the CMP and valuable funding from the New South Wales Coast and Estuary Grant Programme. It is important to know that the Hawkesbury-Nepean River CMP will build on existing knowledge, planning programs, and strategies, including, for instance, at federal level, we have the National Water Quality Management Strategy. At a state level, the New South Wales Marine State Management Strategy, SEPS, the New South Wales Risk-Based Framework, New South Wales Climate Change Policy Framework, the New South Wales Maritime Infrastructure Plan, and many other similar plans. Regionally, the CMP will support the Greater Sydney Region Plan, the Greater Sydney Local Land Service Strategic Plan, Sydney Metropolitan Plan, Water Plan, and relevant water sharing plans. The document will also assist in delivering Council's integrated planning and reporting framework, community strategic plans, local strategic planning statements, LEPs, DCPs, and progress from existing estuary and catchment planning. A thorough literature review of close to 200 reports, management plans, and monitoring programs was undertaken, exploring the challenges and opportunities in implementing existing management activities. A first pass risk assessment was undertaken to identify stressors across the study area, to understand how existing arrangements address threats and residual risk, and how they are likely to change over 20, 50, and 100-year timeframes. The stressors range from smaller localized issues up to larger scale, system-wide threats that will require a coordinated and collaborative management approach. Here we include the 5 key threats and associated stressors for the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system. Significant urban development in the upper reaches of the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system catchment, resulting in increased catchment runoff and urban stormwater discharge, impacting on water quality and associated recreational and commercial activities, including public health and safety. Disturbance of riparian and aquatic habitat, the presence of invasive species and aquatic-related diseases, the potential increase in harmful algae blooms, and the inability to protect endangered, vulnerable, and threatened species and communities. Another key stressor relates to coastal and estuarine hazards, such as sea level rise and event-based flooding and inundation. Waterway use and resource conflict is also an issue, as the number of boats and recreational use of the river system continues to increase. Last but not least, planning and governance, potentially leading to a lack of coordination across the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system catchments and ineffective approaches to managing identified risks. Many threats identified in the first pass risk assessment are expected to increase over the coming decades due to population growth within the catchment and the impacts of climate change. The literature review and discussions with stakeholders and councils highlighted the need for the following studies in order to fill a number of knowledge gaps that are critical to the management of the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system. The scoping study report goes in great detail explaining the rationale behind these studies. A number of studies suggested will collate information from existing estuary studies and monitoring programs in order to get a whole-of-system understanding of the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system. Hornsby Shire Council, for example, will be only involved in those studies that are relevant to our shire, as indicated by the third column in the table. These studies will be undertaken as part of Stage 2 of the CMP, and it is estimated that will take the partner councils between 15 to 24 months to complete them all. The partner councils are finalizing equitable funding models prior to seeking financial assistance of the New South Wales Government. Recently, we were informed that the New South Wales Coast and Estuary Grant Programme has been adjusted to better support councils undertaking this process by increasing the contribution funded by the New South Wales Government. This is great news and will support the momentum we have on this excitement project. The scoping study presents a business case and forward program to support councils in approaching the proceeding stages of the planning process. This provides clarity on the steps required in each stage, costing, timing, and responsibility. For Hornsby Shire Council, the cost of completing the CMP through stages 2 to 4 is approximately $80,000 to $100,000. This is out of a total project cost of around $1.3 million. A government structure has been proposed to support development of the CMP through a multi-tier approach, with a decision-making tier comprising a project steering committee that guides project management, a technical advice tier to enable input from upper catchment councils, relevant agencies, community groups, and traditional owners, and a major project tier that comprises of combinations of the above to be utilized as necessary. A project coordinator position is proposed to support the progression of Stage 2, improve project management, maintain communication among partner councils and stakeholders, and to assist with the coordination of engagement and promotion of the project. The New South Wales government has recently announced that to encourage council collaboration, and where 5 or more councils work together, 20% of the total project cost can now be requested for project management under the New South Wales Coast and Estuary Grant Programme. This table shows more specific information on the various components of the suggested governance structure, including responsibilities and recommended members groups. The stakeholder engagement strategy has been developed to encourage input from all stakeholders, including community. Partner councils have identified a long list of key community groups to be targeted during engagement, and in recognition of previous contributions to the environment and health of the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system and its catchment. For example, 35 progress associations and 22 additional groups that do on-ground works, including bush care and floating land care, historical societies, and bushland committees, were identified. These groups will be involved through a range of methods during Stage 2 to 4 of the CMP. Partner councils are looking to coordinate events up and down the Hawkesbury to promote the estuary and river system and the work related to the CMP, and are looking at the best way to engage with a large list of community and stakeholder groups. Meanwhile, online platforms and tools, together with face-to-face interactions, will play a major role in keeping everyone informed and engaged. The collaborative approach recommended by the scoping study will bring several benefits to partner councils, government agencies, stakeholders, and the health of the river system. Some benefits include a consistent, sustainable, and a strategic approach to the management of the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system that enables everyone's priority objectives to be considered. The opportunity to address issues independently of jurisdictional boundaries. Efficiency savings through economies of scale and the reduced application of studies, monitoring effort, and community engagement. Establishment of a framework for interagency coordination, in particular between local and state government agencies. Consideration of current and future risk across a range of planning horizons, allowing improved preparation for emerging threats. The CMP process will provide significant pathways for community and stakeholder engagement and be the vehicle for the implementation of projects that will provide benefit to the local community and local environment. Development of the system-wide CMP will provide a robust and defensive platform to secure political interest and funding from the New South Wales government's Coastal and Estuary Grants Programme, along with other potential investors. So what next? A report is being prepared to inform each partner council that Stage 1 is now completed and seeks support to transition to Stage 2. Each council will look to promote the work so far and continue communication with government agencies. Once endorsed by respective councils, staff will work together to prepare grants application and apply for funding to progress studies as part of Stage 2. Develop a plan to roll out relevant sections of the stakeholder and community engagement strategy, and will continue existing on-ground works and monitoring. I hope this presentation has given you a good summary of Stage 1 CMP scoping study for the Hawkesbury-Nepean River system and what it has been achieved in the last 8 months. The partner councils are extremely happy with the position we are now in and are looking forward to continuing the partnership with stakeholders and the wider catchment councils in the management of the beautiful Hawkesbury-Nepean River system. Thanks very much.